You arrive without ceremony, because ceremony is a luxury this world rarely spends on strangers. Medieval Europe does not open its arms, it closes its fingers. The road beneath your feet is soft in places where rain has never quite decided to leave, hardened in others where too many lives have passed to make an impression anymore. Mud clings to your boots with a quiet persistence, as if it senses you might try to leave. Dusk settles early here, slipping between crooked roofs and leaning timbers, turning the sky the color of old bruises. The day feels unfinished, like something important was forgotten and no one remembers what. Smoke hangs low, pressed downward by the cold, smelling of damp wood, burnt bread, and yesterday's attempts at warmth. It blurs edges on purpose. Straight lines are suspicious in a place like this. Silence dominates, but not the peaceful kind. It is a silence filled with listening. Doors remain shut, not for privacy, but for survival. Behind them, life continues in careful whispers, measured breaths, and habits worn smooth by fear and repetition. You feel the rhythm before you understand it. Time here is not counted, it is rung. Bells decide when you wake, when you eat, when you pray, when you stop pretending to be useful. Light matters more than numbers. When it fades, so does ambition. Warmth is guarded like a secret. Firewood is stacked with the seriousness of treasure. Even the air feels tired, heavy with old prayers, hunger breathed into it again and again. Night presses in gently but firmly, like a hand on your back guiding you forward, whether you agree or not. Survival here is not dramatic, it is quiet work. Endurance is the first lesson, taught without words, and you are already learning it simply by standing still and not leaving. You find shelter where shelter can be found, which means wherever someone allows you to exist without asking questions. The walls lean inward, warped by age and moisture, smelling faintly of mold and smoke and human presence that never quite aired out. Straw covers the floor in uneven patches, flattened where bodies have rested too often to leave any spring behind. You lower yourself carefully, joints stiff from travel, from cold, from the slow realization that comfort has been removed from the list of expectations. Outside, the village contracts, shutters close, animals settle into uneasy sleep, shifting and snorting in the dark. Somewhere a baby cries and is quickly quieted, not with tenderness but with urgency. Noise invites attention, and attention is rarely kind. The cold creeps through the walls and into your bones, not aggressively, just patiently, like it has nowhere else to be. Morning does not arrive triumphantly. It seeps in, pale and reluctant, pushed along by the tolling of a bell that sounds older than the hands pulling the rope. You wake because everyone wakes. Choice is minimal. Your breath fogs in the air. The room smells sharper now. Sweat, damp straw, the faint sourness of too many people sharing too little space. You step outside and are met by a village already moving, slowly, stiffly, like a body with chronic pain. Faces are gray with fatigue, eyes hollowed by nights that never quite rest. Work waits everywhere, and it does not care who you are. Hands are put to use quickly. If you hesitate, someone else will take the task and the small warmth or food that comes with it. Fields stretch outward, brown and tired, soil turned and returned so many times it feels more like obligation than earth. You work alongside others whose names you do not learn, whose stories you will never hear fully. Conversation is sparse, breath is conserved. The ground is cold enough to numb fingers, but stopping only makes it worse. Pain becomes background noise, a low hum you eventually stop noticing. Food arrives when it arrives, bread, coarse and dark, broken and passed without ceremony. It tastes faintly of smoke and effort. You eat slowly, not for pleasure, but to make it last. Hunger is familiar here. It sits quietly in the stomach, waiting to be acknowledged again later.
By midday, the sun offers little warmth. Clouds gather without commitment. The bell rings again, reminding everyone of prayer, of order, of the idea that suffering has meaning if properly supervised. You bow your head because everyone does. Faith here is less about belief and more about habit. It fills time. It gives shape to waiting. Illness moves easily through places like this. You hear coughing that sounds too deep, too wet. No one reacts dramatically. Sickness is not a surprise. It is a possibility always assumed, like rain or death. When someone disappears, their absence is noted briefly and then folded into the routine. There is work to be done. As evening approaches, the village tightens again. Animals are brought in, tools are stacked carefully, fire is coaxed from embers that never fully die, treated with respect and a little fear. Inside, bodies gather close, sharing warmth whether they like each other or not. Stories surface, quietly told, half remembered, softened by repetition. Humor appears occasionally, dry and dark, laughter cut short as if it might offend someone unseen. You lie back on straw once more, muscles aching in ways that suggest tomorrow will not be kinder. The cold presses in. Sleep comes unevenly, interrupted by dreams that feel too real, by sounds that might mean nothing or everything. You learn to listen without reacting, conserving energy even in rest. Days stack on each other like stones laid without mortar. Market days bring noise and brief color, cloths, voices, the smell of animals and sweat. Prices are argued fiercely, coins change hands reluctantly. Everyone believes they are being cheated, and everyone is probably right. You watch executions once because everyone does. Justice here is public, instructional, and oddly efficient. You feel nothing dramatic, just a dull heaviness and a desire to go somewhere else that does not exist. Winter arrives without warning. It always does. The cold sharpens, finding every weakness in walls and clothing. Hunger grows bolder. Soup thins. Bread shrinks. You wrap yourself tighter and learn to move less. Nights grow longer, darker, filled with prayers that sound more like negotiations than praise. You think about leaving sometimes, but roads are worse in winter, and other places are rumored to be the same or worse. Familiar suffering feels safer than imagined alternatives, so you stay, you endure, you become part of the background. Spring returns eventually, reluctantly, bringing mud and illness and a cautious hope no one admits out loud. Fields are worked again, bells ring again, the rhythm resumes, unchanged. You realize then that history is not made of moments like this, which is precisely why moments like this never disappear. They repeat, endlessly, carried by people too busy surviving to notice they are building the world. As another night closes in, you lie still, listening to the village breathe, shallow, uneven, stubborn. There is no resolution coming, no lesson waiting to be learned, just the quiet truth that you are here, inside the long night, and morning will arrive whether it helps or not. You close your eyes not to escape, but to rest just enough to continue. The world does not soften, it simply goes on. You wake already close to the ground, because that is where life insists on happening here. Mud clings to everything, boots, hems, fingers, thoughts. It dries, cracks, and returns again, loyal and unforgiving. Your hands are never clean. Even when you wash them, the earth stays behind, pressed into the lines of your skin like a reminder of ownership. The fields wait outside the village, stretched wide and dull, not beautiful so much as demanding. They do not care if you are tired. They do not care if you are sick. They accept work and punish hesitation. You step into the soil while the morning is still undecided. Cold seeps upward through your feet. Grain brushes your legs, sharp and whispering. Every harvest feels like a negotiation with forces that do not speak back. too much rain, not enough rain, rain at the wrong time, all equally capable of undoing months of effort. You work anyway, because working is safer than watching. Homes crouch low against the land, dark even at midday. Inside, warmth comes from bodies pressed together and fires treated with suspicion. Smoke hangs beneath the ceiling, stinging your eyes, coating your throat. Breath fogs the air in winter. In summer, the heat sticks, heavy and sour. Every sound travels, a cough that worries everyone, a whispered prayer, a child shifting restlessly because sleep does not come easily here. Life moves slowly but never gently. Childhood ends early, traded for tasks and silence. Old age arrives before permission is granted. Joy appears sometimes